Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Several leaders have risen up on the world stage over the past year. Today, we will look at some of the events that will continue to unfold in 2025. Okay, let's get into it. After the bipartisan compromise interim budget stalled on Wednesday, Speaker Johnson presented another streamlined plan on Thursday. The new streamlined plan consists of 116 pages, which is indeed very concise. It's less than 1/10 of the previous spending bill. The original bill was 1,547 pages, which is equal to 5 big, thick books. The bill was released on Tuesday and voted on Friday. Let us think about this. Will members who vote on such a thick bill read it thoroughly in 3 days? More than 90% of the legislators will not. This may have been orchestrated by leaders of both parties. Before this Congress adjourned, both parties tried to put together as many priorities as possible and attach them to a must-pass government funding measure. The contents of this streamlined bill are relatively simple. In addition to extending government appropriations until March 14th, it also includes about $30.1 billion in hurricane emergency relief funding, a 1-year extension of the Farm Bill, and a moratorium on the debt ceiling until January 30th, 2027. And the new streamlined plan strikes out lawmakers' pay raises. It also strikes out reforms to the drug benefit management industry, restrictions on Chinese investment, the 9/11 healthcare fund, and new rules for farmers. President Trump is relatively happy with the bill, but Democrats and a portion of hardcore conservative Republicans are not. Democrats said that they were in no mood to participate in the New Deal after President Trump did not support the bipartisan compromise on spending. On Thursday night, the streamlining bill was defeated in a vote of 174 in favor and 235 against. The debt ceiling has been a major sticking point for both parties because it was not considered in the bipartisan spending talks that lasted several weeks. One Democratic lawmaker opposed raising the debt ceiling at the meeting, saying that Republicans wanted to do it because they could push their agenda without the debt limit label. Many hawkish Republican legislators also oppose raising the debt ceiling in principle. On the last vote to raise the debt ceiling in May of 2023, 71 Republicans opposed it. President Trump may want the bill to raise or eliminate the national debt ceiling. Congress would be able to adjust the ceiling periodically in order to allow the U.S. to continue to pay its creditors and avoid default. President Trump told NBC News that lifting the debt ceiling altogether would be the smartest thing Congress could do and that he would fully support that. He also implied that any Republican who opposes the debt ceiling adjustment will face a major challenge in the next election. After the streamlining bill was defeated, Speaker Johnson introduced another revised streamlining bill to be voted on Friday morning. Elon Musk asked on Friday if any lawmakers have read the new clean continuing resolution bill. Musk wrote on X in response to a post asking, "Has anyone read it? Radical suggestion. First, read bill, then vote. Are they allowed to read this one beforehand? If this amended clean bill still does not pass, the government will have to close its doors at 12:01 this evening." President Trump says that the looming partial government shutdown is a Biden problem to solve. He wrote on Truth Social, "If there's going to be a shutdown of government, let it be now under the Biden administration, not after January 20th under Trump. This is a Biden problem to solve, but if Republicans can help solve it, they will." In our opinion, the process of passing a bill is too complicated, but Speaker Johnson seems to be quite used to it. He says, "This is Washington. This is how legislation works. It's a long process. Sometimes it takes a while to reach a consensus, but we're going to do the right thing." Currently, the Republican Party has only a slim majority in the House of Representatives, so any major bill will have to rely on some Democrats to pass. This is the traditional bipartisan approach. This time around, Speaker Johnson has been criticized by conservative Republicans for making too many concessions to Democrats. This has raised doubts about Johnson's future as Speaker. Senator Mike Lee, a Republican of Utah, predicted that House Speaker Mike Johnson would not retain the gavel next year, and he called for either Elon Musk or Vivek Ramaswamy to fill the leadership role. Lee said, "Vivek, Elon, if you're watching, please sign up. America needs you. Senator Rand Paul had also floated the idea of Musk for House Speaker. Paul posted on Thursday morning, nothing would disrupt the swamp more than electing Elon Musk. Think about it. Nothing's impossible. But President Trump supported Johnson for the job. In an interview with Fox News, he said that if Johnson takes decisive and tough action to eliminate all the traps that the Democrats have set up, he will easily keep his position as Speaker. Before Thursday night's vote, President Trump name-checked Representative Chip Roy, a Republican in Texas. President Trump claimed that Chip Roy was getting in the way, as usual, of having yet another great Republican victory, all for the sake of some cheap publicity for himself. But Senator Lee spoke highly of Roy. He said, "There is not a more faithful advocate of conservative policy, constitutionally limited government, or MAGA principles than Chip Roy." Lee declared in a post on X saying, "President Trump will not have a more principled, hardworking ally than Chip Roy. If a more devoted advocate for the Constitution exists today, I have not met that person." Roy delivered a fiery speech ahead of the vote on Thursday. He said that he was not against raising the debt ceiling, but only against raising the debt ceiling before reducing government spending. Senator Paul echoed Roy's speech and commented, "We are either fiscally conservative or not. An unlimited increase in the debt ceiling for 2 years is not fiscally conservative and should be rejected." Representative Thomas Massey, a Republican in Kentucky, who, like Roy, voted against passing the spending proposal on Thursday, suggested that instead of voting on a catch-all measure, there should be multiple measures that receive individual votes. He posted, "This isn't complicated. Separate the bills and vote on them individually. One vote on the clean CR, one vote on the debt limit, one vote on disaster relief, one vote on farm bailouts, individual bills for each issue." While the government shutdown was still looming, Johnson vowed that a deal would be struck before midnight. And the House finally passed the bill, and now the Senate will consider the bill. Russian President Vladimir Putin said at a year-end press conference on Thursday that he is ready to hold talks with the Trump administration over Ukraine. He said that he hasn't spoken to President Trump in years. Putin said, "I don't know when we will talk because he hasn't said anything about it. I haven't spoken to him at all in over 4 years. Of course, I am ready for this at any time, and I will be ready for a meeting if he wants it. If we meet with Mr. Trump, we will have things to discuss." Putin added that Moscow has always said that they are ready for compromises and negotiations, but that the other side needs to be ready as well. And Putin thinks that the attitude of Ukrainians is also changing. Putin said, "Soon those Ukrainians who want to fight will run out, in my opinion. Soon there will be no one left who wants to fight. We are ready, but the other side needs to be ready for both negotiations and compromises." When asked by a reporter what the Russians could offer in negotiating with their rivals, Putin said, "I believe that Russia has become much stronger over the past 2 or 3 years. Why? Because we are becoming a truly sovereign country. We are already hardly dependent on anyone." Putin said that the situation on the front line is very favorable for Russia. He said, "Movement is going on along the entire front line every day. And as I already said, we're not talking about advancing 100, 200, 300 meters. Our fighters are taking and returning territory in square kilometers. I want to emphasize, every day." The day before, Ukrainian President Zelensky acknowledged in an interview that Ukraine lacks the strength to take back all its territory occupied by Russia. Putin is not one of those people who is inherently anti-Western. In 1991, Putin was in charge of inviting investment in the mayor's office in St. Petersburg, and he was open to cooperation with the West. Later on, NATO continued to expand to the east, especially in 2004, the 3 small Baltic states neighboring Russia joined NATO. In addition, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, and Slovakia also joined NATO. This made Russia feel more and more insecure, and Putin's attitude toward the West became more and more hostile. At this year-end press conference, Vladimir Putin showed a good-natured attitude toward the American public. He promised to ask former Syrian President Assad for help in locating American veteran and journalist Austin Tice. He told NBC, "I haven't seen President Assad yet since he came to Moscow, but I plan to do so. I will have a conversation with him." Tice was abducted while reporting on the uprising against the Assad regime during the early stages of the Syrian civil war, and he went missing after he was detained in Damascus in August of 2012. On Wednesday, Tice's mother, Deborah Tice, appealed to Putin in a letter to help find her son. Putin suspects that Assad might not know too much about the specifics of the situation. Putin said, "We are adults. We understand 12 years ago, a person went missing in Syria 12 years ago. We understand what the situation was, and 12 years ago, acts of hostilities were ongoing from both sides. So does President Assad himself know what happened to that U.S. citizen, a journalist who performed his journalistic duty in a combat area?" Putin shrugged and then said, "Nonetheless, I do promise I will ask this question to him." Today, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, announced 8 new cabinet ministers, and he made changes to 4 other ministerial portfolios in order to ensure that the government is functioning properly. But what he did not expect was the sudden backlash that he encountered from the NDP leader. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says that his party will bring forward a motion of non-confidence to bring down the Trudeau government in the next sitting of the House of Commons. After months of dithering, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said in an open letter, "The Liberals don't deserve another chance. That's why the NDP will vote to bring this government down and give Canadians a chance to vote for a government who will work for them." Singh will bring forward a motion of non-confidence to bring down the Trudeau government in the next sitting of the House of Commons. The House of Commons is currently in a 6-week holiday recess and is not expected to reconvene until January 27th. The first no-confidence motion, introduced by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre on September 5th, was defeated after the NDP and the Bloc Québécois joined the Liberals in voting against it. But now the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois have since been calling on the NDP to cast a vote of no confidence in the government. But the NDP has backed the Liberals in all 3 confidence votes since September. The most recent motion of confidence occurred in early December when both the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois voted to try to overthrow the government. With all 3 main opposition parties now expressing a desire for the government to step down, it's almost certain that the Liberals will lose the next confidence vote. In 2024, the number of business insolvencies in Germany increased by almost a quarter compared to the previous year. Next year, this figure could reach record levels. Credit Reform, a credit rating agency, predicts that 22,400 businesses will go bankrupt in Germany by the end of 2024. This would be the highest level since 2015. The head of economic research at Credit Reform said that they are concerned that this very active bankruptcy trend will continue at least through the first quarter of next year. This means that bankruptcy numbers may soon approach the all-time highs of 2009 and 2010, when more than 32,000 companies went bankrupt. Many companies remain afraid to invest due to the high level of uncertainty, which exacerbates the dire economic situation. Businesses generally face high energy costs, supply chain problems, the threat of trade conflicts, heavy bureaucracy, political uncertainty, and consumer reluctance. According to a recent survey by the IFO Institute, the vast majority of companies in Germany do not expect business conditions to improve in the coming year. 56% expect the situation to remain unchanged, while more than 31% expect it to worsen. Optimists who expect business conditions to improve are in the minority at 12.6%. In other words, no industry is optimistic about the outcome of 2025 in Germany, but expectations remain high for the U.S. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. We've also heard that many of you don't get notifications of our videos anymore on YouTube. So when you do subscribe on YouTube, please make sure to tap the notification bell as well. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. And again, everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.